Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Zad Academy course summaries. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Today, we're diving straight into an explainer of Dr. Abu Zayd Makki al-Karabi's powerful Aqueedah lecture. Oh, and just a quick heads up, you'll see the Arabic translation displayed right at the bottom of the screen. We set it up this way so you can follow along and connect these beautiful, deep concepts directly with the original language of our deen.
Today's explainer is really going to map out a step-by-step intellectual journey to help us grasp the logical proofs for God's existence. We've got a great roadmap ahead. We'll start with an introduction to innate nature, clear up some misconceptions and first obligations, and then look at the evidence of creation. After that, we'll be refuting the false creators, getting the nature fallacy explained, and finally wrapping up with the one true creator. Let's get right into it.
Section 1, Introduction to Innate Nature, Understanding the True Meaning of Fitra.
Sometimes people think of a newborn's mind as this totally empty cup just waiting to be filled. But as Dr. Abu Zayd explains, that's not quite right. Fitra is actually an active, divine force built into every single one of us. It's a scientific power, meaning an inherent knowledge, and it's a volitional power, which means an inherent will. Think of it as a driving engine created by Allah within the human soul, propelling us to recognize Him and His oneness from the very moment we have consciousness. This beautifully illustrates that believing in one God is literally our original natural state. In this Hadith Qudsi, Allah states that He created all His servants hunafa, meaning naturally upright and completely inclined toward pure monotheism. Disbelief or polytheism, those aren't our default settings at all. They're actually external corruptions. It's like they're viruses introduced later on by society, our environment, or the whispers of devils to try to cover up this brilliant internal compass we're all born with.
Moving on to Section 2. Misconceptions and first obligations, correcting theological errors.
It's super fascinating to contrast some of the historical views on this. For instance, some classical groups, like the Mu'tazila, falsely claim that humans get absolutely no prior divine help to find the truth, because they thought that would somehow ruin the test of life. They saw Fitra as basically just a blank slate. But the truth of Ahl Sunnah, it's so much more beautiful. Fitra is a profound blessing. It's active divine assistance given to us before we even take a single action. Allah loves us so much that He essentially pre-installed the software we need to recognize Him. Because of this pre-installed software, this Fitra, the very first obligation on a person is simply to declare faith through the Shahada. Now, some scholastic theologians back in the day, the Mutakallamun, argued that a human's first duty is actually to doubt everything, to use philosophy to prove God exists from scratch. But honestly, why start at zero when Allah has already given you the answer key right there in your heart? Your first obligation is just to embrace what your fitra inherently knows. La ilaha illallah.
All right, Section 3. The evidence of creation, the sensory and mental proofs.
Let's think about this famous verse we literally recite every single day. Praise be to Allah, Lord of the worlds, or Al-Alamin. The great scholar Ibn Taymiyyah beautifully pointed out something amazing about the linguistic root of that word, alamin. Every single category of creation, whether it's the world of humans, the world of plants, the galaxies, is an alam. Why? Because it shares a root with the word for a sign or a seal, a hatam. So practically speaking, every single thing you look at is stamped with a seal that points directly back to the Creator.
This maps out classical logic perfectly, and it's so intuitive you definitely don't need a PhD in philosophy to get it. Let's walk through it. Step 1 is just simple sensory observation. We look around and see that things have a beginning and an end, right? Humans are born and eventually die, trees grow and then wither. Step 2 is a mental necessity. Reason just dictates that every effect has to have a cause. If a door is knocked, well, there's a knocker. So step 3 is absolutely undeniable. This entire universe, which so clearly has a beginning, absolutely must have a creator. That brings us to Section 4, refuting the false creators, eliminating impossible origins.
So if everything that begins to exist requires a maker, we have to ask the ultimate question: who is the creator of the universe? I really want you to think about this as we systematically rule out some of the honestly illogical answers that various philosophies have tried to offer over the years.
Let's just use pure logic to eliminate the impossible. First up, could nothingness have created the universe? Absolutely not, because zero can't produce one. Non-existence has zero power to do anything at all. Second, could the universe have created itself? Again, logically absurd. A thing cannot act before it even exists. And third, what if another dependent creation made us? Well, if we say a lesser creator made us and another one made them, we fall into an infinite, never-ending chain of dependent causes. If that were true, nothing would have ever gotten created in the first place. There has to be a first, independent, uncaused cause.
And this perfectly leads into Section 5, the nature fallacy explained, confusing the mechanism with the maker.
I absolutely love this analogy from the source material. Imagine a guy who's lived his entire life in the deep desert, only ever knowing water from hand-dug wells. One day, he visits a modern city, turns a handle on a wall, and boom, water gushes out. He traces the pipes back to a water tank and proudly shouts, "I've solved it! The pipes created the water!" It's a funny picture, right? But this striking analogy perfectly exposes the flaw of scientists who observe the mechanics of the universe and then just attribute its creation to the laws of nature. They've discovered the pipes, but they're completely ignoring the plumber who built the system. The crucial takeaway here is that studying nature only explains how the system works. Biology, physics, chemistry, these are all amazing sciences that describe the mechanisms, but think about it. If you ask a mechanic how a car works, they'll explain combustion and gears. If you ask them who built the car and they just shrug and say the engine did, you'd think they were crazy. Science answers the how, but it completely fails to answer who intentionally designed, built, and initiated those physical laws in the first place. Finally, we arrive at Section 6, the one true creator, distinct and eternal.
There's this profound verse from Surah At-Tur that shatters both the illusion of nothingness and the impossibility of self-creation in a single breath. It asks, or were they created by nothing, or were they the creators of themselves? The Quran is directly addressing human intellect here, challenging us to recognize the inescapable reality that we are dependent beings.
Since the creator cannot be a creation himself, he must be entirely distinct from the universe. He can't be bound by time, which means he is eternal, al-awwal, the first with no beginning, and al-akhir, the last with no end. He must be completely separate from the flaws and limitations of what he made. And of course, he must be utterly unique, with absolutely no equal, partner, or likeness. This independent, uncaused, perfect creator is Allah, the Almighty. So we have to ask ourselves, if the undeniable evidence of the Creator is stamped onto the universe and programmed into our very souls, where will your innate Fitra guide you next? Keep exploring these theological proofs. It's an incredible journey. To continue your learning and explore these concepts even deeper, please enroll in the official Zad Academy curriculum at zad-academy.com/ar/login. Jazakumullahu khairan, and we'll see you next time.